All right. Hey, guys, welcome to Coast Connection. Having to struggle with this microphone today. Hey, I just want to welcome Molly Tschang to the show. She has this show called, program called Hey, Say It Skillfully. And she has helped me over the years work on how to say things skillfully. Well, today I will probably stumble through everything because she's on air with us today. And with my boy Mike G, we're in the house. Say it, Mike. Hey, that's right. So the thing is, we just want to introduce and get straight to it because we don't have a lot of time. So, hey, Molly, welcome to the show. Connection.
Welcome, Molly. Welcome.
It is a delight and pleasure to be with you folks. Love it.
Well, all right. So, Molly, the question we're going to say is, who are you? And the other reason is, what are you working on now?
Well, gosh, so many ways to answer that. First, I want to welcome everyone and say a big hello from the Big Apple. So in 3 words, I'd say roles that I fulfill are 1, guardian angel, 2, cheerleader, 3, difference maker through others like you. So those are roles I've started to play over the last, 5-10 years. So you might think I'd define myself that way. If I were to give you a snapshot on who I am, I'd say it's in 1 word, ignite. That's my passion. And I'd say my purpose is with heart, creativity, and compassion, I inspire myself and others to have the courage to be true to ourselves, dream big, and harness the wow power of us so that together we're a force of nature and anything is possible.
That's very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
And so I feel very fortunate. You've heard me, if those of you who've been on my show or heard the show, it is about doing the work. And that process of getting to know ourselves for who we really are is a lifetime's journey for sure. We definitely go through levels of figuring it out. So I just want to encourage folks, if sometimes you wonder, it looks like over there, gosh, they got it so together. It's so awesome. They know everything. Trust me, it's been bad. It's been dark. It's been messy. And you just kind of have to work through that. So that's a little bit of who I am. It's a German spelling of a Chinese name. I like folks to just figure out, why is there the TS? So my parents came from overseas on long boat journeys, and they are my idols and thankfully still with us. 2 sisters, 5 darling nieces and nephews. And really, I feel living the dream. Had a long corporate career, including doing things like mergers and acquisitions work, integrating companies. And I found my way at Cisco Systems early day in the Silicon Valley. And I've always, been about helping unleash people power.
So I have a question, Molly. So I was reading some of your stuff, and how do you gain control when you deal with executive peoples like an IBM and stuff like that? Because you're dealing with some big swingers here. How do you get them adjusted? Like, listen to me. Hello, I'm here to help you out. Is it hard?
So this is the thing, this skillful communication, and I really stumbled onto something. So I want people to know that I did not speak English until I was 5. Okay. Fully terrified of school, straight C's through 1st grade. It was like, she seems smart, doesn't say a lot. Okay. So this whole notion of communication, it's really easy to be like, well, the executive isn't listening to me. The executive doesn't get it. My boss is this or that. And I would say that 80% of it starts with right here. And so it is about being grounded in who you are, understanding what you might be afraid of in speaking or not, and not making yourself bad or wrong, but getting in good relationship with yourself so that you can show up in a way so that Mr. Big Executive actually sees that it's in his or her interest to actually tune into you. And people think that that's the other person's job. Sure, we would love leaders to create safe space and create openness. They're not deliberately closing it down, I would say, in the majority of places that I've been around. If they are, folks, I might ask myself, why am I here? Right? If I'm at a place where the big guys and gals really don't care what anybody else says, like, really, why are you there? And I would just say, for the most part, that's the leaders have great intention. They just sometimes may not be as aware that some of the rank and file don't feel as comfortable chiming in. And it's not bad or wrong on them, because they think they're doing a good job of it. And if it's not working for you, it's up to you to kind of let them know. Right. So, Mike, to your point, I think helping someone appreciate, hey, I'm not trying to be disagreeable for the sake of it. I'm not trying to be annoying or otherwise make anybody look bad. But I am sharing a point of view because I think it serves the whole and what we're trying to do. And I just want to offer it. I know I only see it from one angle. I want to contribute that, though, and I invite other people to chime in.
But when that one angle comes into, because I'm talking about experience, I'm talking about experience where people are directors or managers or so forth and so on, where I think they have their title get into their heads. So, and it becomes that sort of a brick wall. They don't want to communicate with the lower level.
Well, so I started out with saying, be in good relationship with ourselves, right? And as a leader, for those folks who are in that privileged position, it is not about you. Like, rule number one. And the ability to retain, I would say, the humility, which is, hey, you don't have all the answers. And remember, what got you here doesn't get you there. For the earlier part of one's career, the task, the job is imperative. You got to do the work. At some level, you do the work, and it's less managing tasks, more leading people. And that's it's an evolution, but it's a clear transition. Your most successful leaders spend the bulk of their time coaching up, helping up their people. They're not, God help us if they're doing the work, right? And so that's a transition, and it's not, let's just normalize it. When you've been doing the work, and someone says, don't do the work, let those people do the work. That's kind of scary. You're like, wait a second, but I do it better. It's like, okay, maybe you do it better. Maybe you do it 2 or 3% better. Do we really care? And by the way, your chance is to help those other people step up, just like you would have liked your boss to do at the time to help you do work better, right? So it's just a very, normal circle of life, I guess, in the job.
But when they're not inviting, what would you say for people when a supervisor or exec is not inviting? How would you present that?
That's a great thing. So the first thing is, what's going on for me? Okay, I'm annoyed. Can't believe Mike's not inviting me in. Okay, valid emotion. If I show up annoyed with Mike, is that going to be helpful? Probably not. So you got to lose it. You got to get in a space of saying, okay, I know that what I'm trying to do is create an environment where everybody can be upfront, and we can get the different points of view. You've heard me say accurate shared reality. If we don't hear the different points of view, we don't get to an accurate shared reality, without which cannot make the best decisions, execute with speed, or get to the best outcomes, right? So the thing about it is, okay, now you're like, okay, now I put myself in the other guy's shoes. You want to be mad at your boss? Or you could say, you know what? Let me show compassion, because he or she clearly doesn't realize that they're coming across in a way that maybe isn't serving the whole, that maybe isn't putting them in the best light. And we feel bad about that, because we would want to know if we were in their shoes, right? Because they're human too, folks. Your bosses are human too. Okay. Just because you're more senior doesn't mean you lose that. And we're all can make mistakes every moment of the day. So having that compassion might say, Janet, I really appreciate, what we've done, a chance to work together, whatever you genuinely appreciate. Something I'm experiencing that I'm not sure you're aware of. I just want to share it, because if I were in your shoes, I'd want to know. So, I experienced this, and this is how it felt. What do you think? Now, if you're poking at them, if you're in kind of a snarky way, it's not gonna go well. But that's
And you're right.
Being in good relationship with yourself, right?
So do you think being with the company too long can be a little damaging because the fire's gone?
Yeah, I'm not making generalizations on that, because I think if anyone wants to make it work, and who was I just talking to? Had 40-year career somewhere, and I was just blown away. I mean, how awesome to have been in a place, to have been able to move and grow, because your ability to see the history of an organization is unrivaled, and you can't buy it, right? So I think, and I have quite a few friends who are in jobs many decades, and they've continued to grow. They've changed roles, but they've owned it too. If you want to say, well, it's stale, I mean, great, you can let yourself get stale, but I think that's a little bit on each of us.
That's up to the person. That makes sense.
All right. Yeah. All right. So Molly, the one thing I think the big struggle we have in life is the pay raise. And, and having that conversation of the data that says what you have accomplished and the conversation, the emotional event conversation of people that have been on a job 10 or maybe 11, 5, between 7 and 10 years, and you need a bump up in pay, or you believe you need a bump up in pay. And I think sometimes we see ourselves in a certain reality, but people see us in a different reality, and then you have a problem of having that conversation with that supervisor, because the supervisor is going to provide you feedback. And one thing I'll have to throw out about feedback is I constantly see a lot of supervisors doing a lack of feedback, which doesn't help that employee understand where they stand. So 7 years down the road, I'm having an emotional event, I need to get a pay raise, and now I'm going to go have that uncomfortable conversation.
I love that you brought this up. Let me tackle the 7-year gap scenario second, because ideally, folks, you start a job and you are cleared. You're very clear on why you're paid. And I say that not to be cheeky, because there's a lot of activities that folks have in their jobs. And it's really important to align with your supervisor about, hey, what's great look like? What's really valued here? What are the expectations? And as you get started, that's an iterative thing. So would it be fabulous if every leader kind of sat down with you and laid that out? Yes. Sometimes they're just going too fast. Sometimes they haven't been onboarded so well. So I want to encourage folks, you can go in and say, here, I, really want to be able to contribute to my fullest here. In order for me to do that, it'd be really helpful to understand what great looks like. Could we have a chat about it? And open dialogue about this. And when you go into your boss and saying, I'm here because I want to contribute to my maximum to help this organization, that's like your boss's dream come true. So, take that on and say, hey, you're here. Now, if you're just like, I just want to be promoted above everyone else because I think I'm better, I don't know, that's not going to go very well. So you have to think about, you're there, you're part of this organic, organism that has this unique group of people. So, lean in to just clarifying what great looks like. And then checkpoint, hey, I did this, and not in a needy way, but you want to just say, hey, I don't want to be, and again, you have your boss's dynamics. You work through what kind of open communication looks like, and it's different for different people. I do want to encourage folks to ask for what you need, right? And so make sure that, sometimes it's no news is good news. We're good with that. Just make sure in your particular relationship that no news is good news and that no news is not bad news, because you wouldn't want to be hit by that, when you get a pig notice and you're like, what happened to me, right? So hopefully that helps people appreciate, you can really be empowered to co-create with your colleagues as well, not just your bosses. Hey, what's great look like? How do we chime in here? And not sit back like a wallflower waiting for someone else to do it. And my mantra, and Vince knows this, we're all part of the problem and we're all part of the solution.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right? Very rarely.
It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. But of course, people get intimidated too now. So I guess that's their personal problem. They have to break through that. Correct?
Good point. So if you see that someone's, I call it on their heels, you might acknowledge the emotional state. This is really important, folks, right? There's the emotional intelligence. When I think about relationship or emotional intelligence, what's going on for me? Can I even articulate what's going on for me? The social intelligence, putting myself in someone else's shoes. What is their emotional experience? Doesn't make it right or wrong, but it's theirs. And your ability to identify that is fundamental to connection. And then the third level is the relationship system, the team. Who are we together? We're all on the same team. We're on the same, webinar right now, but we're having a very different experience of it. The ability to walk in each other's shoes is fundamental to collaboration, powerful group identity, sustained success, right? And so your ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes is just, this is like a big part of it. It's a huge part of it because we're kind of in our world. I'm underpaid. I've been here so long. I've been not paid college. I get it. Okay. And then, how maybe did I contribute to that? Right? Am I really at a place where my boss wants me to feel like I'm under a rock being stepped on? Because if that is what they want, then you have a choice. And I would encourage folks to then think, okay, this is not make them bad or wrong. Maybe this isn't a place where I can flourish, right? Learn what you can learn. Keep high. Don't trash them on the way up. Keep high and find a place that's a better cultural fit. All good. All good.
Very, very good. Had my mic off. There we go. That makes sense because that's what I see. I see it. But you execute it so well. We can paint it so well, but it gets a little complicated because then people don't want to say like they're getting out of line. And I've seen this, and I've seen people like, oh, I don't want to ask because last time I asked, oh, he didn't talk to me and stuff like that. So it's just the different dynamics you're saying. It's elements.
Yes, but stay right there. This is the classic. What you just said. This is the being good emotion with myself, relationship with myself. Oh, this is the little voice. They don't want to hear it. I shouldn't say it. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, what's going on in the little head here? Is that fact? Or are you making that up? I can't begin to tell you. When I first realized, I'm like, you know what, Molly, you're making this up. You walk by your boss, they say hello, but not as smiley as they normally do. And then you think, oh my God, I did something wrong. I must have done something wrong, right? And you're like, no, maybe there's something on the boss's mind and they had a rough morning. It has nothing to do with you. So do not create something out of nothing, folks. just say, hey, I noticed this happened. Own it. Gosh, if somehow inadvertently I did something to have you feel disrespected or otherwise upset, gosh, I'm really sorry. And I just love to be really open about it because that's not what I intended. Right?
Wow, Molly, you're on point on that one because that's constantly the demon I see in most people's lives is that what they make up in their own mind or they assume what the boss is saying, and you got to be able to have that conversation. So I listen to if Mike can flash up your page on Say It Skillfully. I mean, if you go all the way back to some of the beginning, I remember started listening to your voice across America, your radio show, and just start listening to some of the conversations you've had with people. It's important, for people to kind of check your site out and just listen to some of the things that you've discussed, because often we are our own worst enemy and we make things up that actually don't exist. And then we have a difficulty going into a conversation with someone, even a coworker at times, because I've seen coworkers in groups. And if you could touch on this, you're working on a group project and you feel some people aren't carrying the weight, but you don't want to have the conversation with that person. And maybe that person just needs some direction. And often people go, well, we got this done, but Bill didn't help because Bill was looking for some direction. And I'll leave it at that point right there.
Yeah, so you're spot on. I love how you said, you don't want to be your worst enemy. Molly wants you to be your best friend. Molly wants you to be your best friend. And I created those videos literally by accident. And I put the first one up, a tough conversation, 90 seconds of the most junior person speaking out amongst the room full of bosses. And I thought 10 people would watch. And ultimately 38,000 people watched this video. And then I realized I was onto something. And every week I started posting on my own time, not trying to, I just wanted to help people. And I got input from Morocco, from, Maldives, from all over the world with people just saying, gosh, thanks very much. Because people oftentimes don't have someone they can go to help them just figure out, how do I say it? So I put the videos kind of in sequence, and it's fun because they're very homegrown. You can see I was learning because I didn't even know how to do videos. Finally, I got a little bit better. And I kind of left it that way because I think it's important for people to see the progression even of me, right? Because we all have the opportunity to grow. And, this teamwork thing, I love how you raise that one. I think so often so-and-so's not carrying their weight, and so the assumption is they're lazy, they're stupid, or whatever your assumption is, when in fact, that's you making it up. And so the ability to say, hey, what's going to serve the whole? What's going to serve the whole is everybody understands their roles. And we all feel like we're contributing. So no one feels like dead weight, but no one feels like they're hauling other people around. So let's have an open conversation on our team about what that might look like. Like, what? Yeah, and so I offer this for folks listening, 2 questions when you have a team: the atmosphere that we think will help us flourish. What's that atmosphere? And so those might be big words like trust, positive, watch each other's back. I hear that. So double click on those words. And then, well, what's trust look like? And some people, I'll know it when I see it. Bad answer. When I see it, no. Trust might be, for example, I can look at your cell phone messages, your text messages. People are like, what? So the point is, it is whatever the group defines it to be. What's watch your back? Watch your back is when you're late. You're not like, oh my God, they're late again. You're like, oh my gosh, I hope they're okay. We know that everyone's trying to be on time. Let's not all have a hissy fit because someone's late. Let's try to be supportive. So that question of the atmosphere to thrive, and then how do we want to be when times get tough? And that I'm like, yeah, sometimes the fan's going to stop spinning. It's going to get ugly. People are going to be stressed out. Work's going to be late. It's going to happen. So let's think about, how do we want to be? Do we want to take it personally? Do we want to just stick to the facts? Do we want to take a breather? And if you take the time in advance when you're in a time of peace, when the war hits, if you will, you'll be better prepared. And I say that not to be disrespectful, because I know, Vince, you've been in true combat.
Well, anything?
Oh yeah.
You froze on me.
Yeah, no, I know. So the thing is, Molly, I've been a leader, been at the, one of the highest levels, and got to work with multiple people. So, I mean, if you could provide any kind of, for any advice for mid-level managers, because I think mid-level managers could use so much mentoring and coaching these days, because what I see them is they're thrust into positions because of turbulence, but they lack skills, because back in 20 years ago, you used to work your way up the ladder. So by the time you got to middle management, you understood the company from the grassroots all the way kind of to the top level. These days, we really don't see that. We bring young people come in, they want to be right at that middle management level, making that certain amount of money, but yet the skill sets aren't all in line with being able to manage people, because when you're managing people, you're managing personalities, multiple personalities. So if you could provide any guidance to someone that's at that mid-level management, that's in their youth, just getting in that position, what would you say to them?
Well, first, congratulations for being in that role and working up to that level. And it's a privilege to have a chance to lead. And I would offer that, to really remember that it's a privilege. And ideally, the people that you're leading would choose you. They don't feel like they're stuck with you. And I say that, to kind of lean into that humility role. Like, even as a leader, even though you've been promoted, you're more senior, still lots and lots and lots to learn. So I think that combination of humility with confidence is a real sweet spot, and to constantly build on that. And the most successful leaders at the highest level that I know have that unique combination. I think a big part of it is just owning how you show up. And I think a lot of folks, that's a tough sandwich position. You're kind of got senior leaders coming down at you potentially. You got people, saying they need this. You kind of can feel like you're stuck in the middle. It can feel, very between a rock and a hard spot. I get that. So your ability to be in good relationship with yourself, saying, you know what, I'm going to do what I think is the right thing to do to the best of my ability. Right? You can't do more than that. So
Correct.
Right? And the ability to continue to show the courage to be vulnerable is really important, because if you don't create the space where your people tell you what's really going on, it's going to be really hard for you to help the team get to great results. And that is on the leader squarely. So that notion of courage to be vulnerable, to create safe space so that people put it out there when someone disagrees with you. Right.
All right. So Molly, got another question for you is, what are some of the things you're working on now?
So lots that I've going on now. I do want to encourage everyone listening. I have a radio show every Tuesdays on VoiceAmerica. Vince will share the link. And I, from time to time, take callers. So I would love to invite you to call in with a scenario that you have, and we talk it through live. And it helps you, but it also helps listeners all around the world. So I just offer a chance for you to pay it forward too. I think that's a great learning capability. I have a portfolio. I was telling Vince and Mike, I've got a whole bunch of nonprofit work. I'm on the board of Community Solutions, which is a nonprofit that recently won the $100 million MacArthur Foundation Award to accelerate a lasting end to homelessness. And yes, folks, in communities all around the world, we already are eliminating chronic and veteran homelessness. We're going to put it in our past.
Yes, that's nice. That's nice.
So
very nice. Good job.
A way to be part of the solution. I encourage you to check out the site. Community.solutions. They have a built for zero model it's just off the charts. I do a bunch of work with Cornell Engineering. I'm real passionate about supporting my alma mater because I got so much out of it. I'm looking to also take the Say It Skillfully and package it in a way where it might be some kind of a really compelling training, because I just feel all the folks out there, this is the thing. In your career, the most important thing is how you interact with yourself and others, for sure. Yet, we don't necessarily do a great job creating something that's broadly accessible. Not everyone has their own one-on-one coach, right? So I really want to create something that really helps everyone to be a little bit more skillful, because I know the world would be a lot better if we all were. So my sayitskillfully.com site, I just offer that as free resources. Share it, because the more you share it widely, it's great. I have a TEDx talk that takes you through it kind of in step by step, so you can see why it matters. But I'm really here to help everyone find their authentic voice and use it, so you can be who you really are and say what needs to be said. And
Very nice.
a lot better when that happens.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm pretty sure it's very challenging at times, though. Your hands in so many areas. You have to stay focused.
Yeah, it is a focus thing. It's, but to the point of my passion and purpose, Mike, I love
It's
it.
a natural.
I fly out of bed. I'm like, I feel so lucky. And it, believe me, there were times where I'm like, what am I doing? Who am I? Why am I? And so it's been a definite journey, right? It's been a definite journey. I just have to share, I had a guest recently on my show, not even 30 years old, climbed the 7 peaks, the tallest peak on every continent before he was like 21, has done half a dozen Ironman triathlons, ultra marathon, unbelievable. And his motto and his family is, it's all mental.
Yeah.
And, I have to tell you, this young person came on my show and changed my life. I'm like, you know what? I was on the tennis court the other day feeling a bit tired. I'm like, how can you be tired? Kaysen's run done 6 Ironmans, and he's climbed up all these mountains. You're not tired, Molly. So, I just offer, we can really empower ourselves. And I just want folks to do that, and I'm here to help in how I can. And I know folks around, you may not realize the people who care about you and want you to be successful, and reach out, connect with them and offer your help. And, you'll be surprised how many people offer help back at you.
Wow.
And that's true. And that's nice. That's very positive, motivational. Everybody hearing out there, it's like, it's all here, guys. It's all here. We can overcome things. You just have to fight the inner battle we have. I mean, I don't know if that sounds good, but it sounds good to me for that moment.
It's good stuff. Like, I think you nailed it. Really, I think a lot of the struggle is within. So this is the deal, folks. Self-awareness is an attribute of the most successful people. But as you track your self-awareness, your self-compassion has to track too, or you'll drive yourself crazy with all these things that you don't think you do well or can't do or what have you. And, you've got to be able to be kind to yourself and find that balance of what's pushing yourself, but also honoring yourself look like for you. And, it's not science, folks. There's a lot of art. So I just offer for folks to take it on, because it's really rewarding. It's really rewarding. And it's not anyone else's thing to answer for you. We have to answer it for ourselves. There's a lot of folks to help us, but I just want to encourage it. That's the do the work, as I like to say.
Oh, Molly, you're spot on. And I think the challenges that we've had over the last year and a half for so many people around the United States is that sometimes I think we got to become more self-aware. And people like yourself who are out there trying to help others become more self-aware and become more resilient will help them be able to communicate better. And I think, one thing is, you're talking about your next journey. Well, you need to make a college class or a high school class for Say It Skillfully, because I think it'll help the next generation. And I don't say that as a joke. I seriously mean it, that there are some fruits to be picked from trees that bear very good sweet nectar if we have the ability to learn things at a younger age. Molly, as always, it's a big pleasure having you on the show. You've rocked it as usual. I was not surprised. And you gave so many good tips and pointers, that I'm really impressed that I didn't realize you were overly busy. Hanging out with what's his name? Carson, the ultra runner? Kaysen, yes. Kaysen.
He's a rock star, man. He's got this Explorer cold brew. He started a company in the pandemic. I mean, you're like, these young people are just rocking it, right? Left and right. And, I'm cheering for you folks out there, right? And reach out if I can be helpful to join me on the show. And, I think I just want to honor you, Vince, with the positivity, aspire to inspire. Mike, this is, lead from the front, stay
Thank
positive,
you.
can do. Yeah, there's going to be tough stuff, but, together there's
Right.
nothing that we can't overcome, folks,
And as always, guys, I just want to say thank Molly Tschang for coming on the show and being a rock star.
Thank
And
you.
as we always say
Pleasure
on
meeting
Coastal
you.
Connection, keep
Get
it
rolling. Thank you,
rolling.
everyone. Check out our new shows coming up, and please subscribe, thumbs up, do what you got to do. Next time.